Sarah Chen wiped the sweat from her brow as she crawled through Junction 459's maintenance tunnel, her toolkit clanking against the metal grating. Arcturus Station's environmental controls were acting up again, and as usual, it fell to maintenance to sort out the mess. 12 hours into her shift, she was running on nothing but synthetic coffee and determination. The tunnel opened into the station's primary break room, and Sarah froze. Standing in the center of the room was a Meridian, one of the station's newest alien residents. The being's crystalline form caught the overhead lights, refracting them in mesmerizing patterns across the walls. 6 tentacle-like appendages, each tipped with precise manipulators, moved in perfect synchronization as they operated a diagnostic device Sarah had never seen before. "Excuse me," Sarah said, pulling herself out of the tunnel. "I need to access the environmental control panel." The Meridian turned, its faceted head catching the light. "This sector is under Meridian supervision," it stated, its translator rendering the crystalline harmonics into crisp English. "I am Ktil, 3rd Rank Service Coordinator. Your presence is unnecessary." Sarah bit back a sigh. The Meridians had arrived on Arcturus Station 3 months ago, and their superiority complex was already legendary. "Look, I've got work orders for this entire section. The temperature's fluctuating, and—" "Precisely why I am here," Ktil interrupted. "Meridian environmental systems are far more advanced than your primitive manual controls. I will rectify the issue." Sarah watched as Ktil's appendages manipulated the alien device, which emitted a soft humming sound. The temperature dropped several degrees, then shot up dramatically. Warning lights began flashing across the control panel. "That's not supposed to happen," Ktil said, the translator unable to completely mask the confusion in its harmonic voice. Sarah stepped forward, her trained eye already spotting the problem. "Your device is trying to interface with our systems, but the protocols aren't compatible. You're causing feedback loops in the temperature regulators." "Impossible. Meridian technology is universally compatible." The lights flickered, and a low groan echoed through the station's infrastructure. Sarah had heard that sound before, right before an environmental system cascade failure. "Listen," she said, "you can either let me help, or we can both explain to Station Command why half the deck is either freezing or boiling. Your choice." Ktil's crystalline form shifted, creating a sound like wind chimes. "Your assistance would be acceptable." Sarah didn't waste time arguing. She pulled open the control panel and began checking connections. "Your system's trying to impose Meridian environmental standards, but our hardware wasn't designed for that level of precision. We need to create a buffer." Ktil moved closer, its appendages hovering near the panel. "Perhaps, if we modify the interface parameters." "Exactly what I was thinking." Sarah grabbed her tablet and pulled up the system schematics. "See these regulation cycles? They're designed to be flexible, not precise. Human technology adapts to changing conditions rather than forcing absolute control." "Inefficient," Ktil commented, but there was a note of curiosity in its harmonics. "Maybe," Sarah admitted, "but it's reliable. Sometimes the best solution isn't the most elegant one." She pointed to her tablet. "If we can get your device to work with our system's natural fluctuations instead of fighting them." To her surprise, Ktil's appendages moved to adjust its device's settings, a compromise between precision and adaptability. Fascinating. They worked together for the next hour, Sarah's practical experience complementing Ktil's technical knowledge. The Meridian's initial rigidity gradually gave way to genuine interest in Sarah's explanations of human engineering philosophy. "You intentionally build imperfection into your systems," Ktil observed as they finally achieved stable environmental readings. "It seems counterintuitive, yet it works," Sarah finished, closing the control panel. "Sometimes you need a little chaos to keep things running smoothly." Paradoxical, I know. Indeed. Ktil's form shifted, creating patterns Sarah hadn't seen before. "I must revise my initial assessment of human engineering practices. They are unorthodox, but not without merit." Sarah smiled. High praise from a meridian. Tell you what, next time something breaks down, why don't we tackle it together? Might learn something from each other. Till was silent for a moment, its crystalline surface reflecting the now steady lights. That would be acceptable. Your methods, while crude, demonstrate an innovative approach to problem solving that warrants further study. I'll take that as a compliment, Sarah laughed. Though you might want to work on your diplomatic phrasing. Noted. Catil responded, and Sarah could have sworn she detected amusement in its harmonics. I shall add human social protocols to my study parameters. As Sarah gathered her tools, she realized something significant had just happened. Human and Meridian, working together, finding common ground in the most unlikely of places, a malfunctioning environmental system. Same time tomorrow, she asked, heading back toward the maintenance tunnel. Till's response came with a harmonic she hadn't heard before, something almost warm. I will adjust my maintenance schedule accordingly. Sarah grinned as she crawled back into the tunnel. Maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something interesting. After all, the best innovations often came from the most unexpected collaborations. Sarah arrived early for her shift the next day, only to find Till already waiting in the break room, its crystalline form pulsing with subtle patterns of light. 3 maintenance drones, Meridian technology by their sleek design, hovered around the service coordinator. You are 3 minutes and 42 seconds late, Till announced. Sarah checked her watch. Actually, I'm 17 minutes early. By human scheduling standards, Meridian time management protocols factor in equipment preparation and preliminary system analysis. Hill's appendages gestured to the drones. I have brought appropriate tools for today's maintenance tasks. Sarah set down her trusty toolkit with an exaggerated sigh. And here I thought we were making progress on the whole human methods have merit thing. Progress does not preclude improvement, Till responded, but there was that subtle harmonic again, the one Sarah was beginning to recognize as humor. These drones can perform routine maintenance tasks with 99.98% efficiency. And what happens during that 0.02%? Till's crystalline surface rippled. That is why I requested your presence. Sarah raised an eyebrow. Hold on. Are you saying you actually want my help? Not just tolerating it. Yesterday's experience demonstrated that human adaptability could be valuable in certain situations. The station's systems are a hybrid of multiple technologies. Pure Meridian methodology may not always be optimal. That might be the nicest thing a Meridian has ever said about human engineering, Sarah grinned. Come on, let's see what these fancy drones of yours can do. They began their inspection rounds, Catil's drones scanning and analyzing while Sarah watched with professional interest. The machines were impressive, moving with fluid precision through the station's maintenance passages. Your drones are amazing, Sarah admitted, watching one repair a microfracture in a coolant line. But they're also kind of rigid. They follow exact patterns, even when a different approach might be faster. Catil's appendages shifted in what Sarah now recognized as thoughtfulness. Efficiency through standardization is a core Meridian principle. Deviation introduces unnecessary variables. See, that's where we disagree, Sarah said, pulling out her tablet. Look at this. She pulled up a diagnostic program she'd written. Human systems are designed to adapt. We build in flexibility because we know conditions change. Sometimes the most efficient solution on paper isn't the best one in practice. Till moved closer, its crystalline form casting prismatic patterns across Sarah's tablet. Your programming is unorthodox. These decision trees allow for multiple solution paths. Exactly. Instead of forcing one perfect solution, we give the system options. It might seem messy, but it's more resilient in the long run. Their discussion was interrupted by a sharp alarm from one of the drones. It had encountered a junction where different systems intersected. Human, Meridian, and 2 other alien technologies, all jury-rigged together over years of station modifications. Ah, Catil's harmonics carried a note of frustration. The drone cannot establish a standard protocol for this intersection. The variety of systems exceeds its parameters. Sarah stepped forward, studying the junction. Yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about. You can't approach this with a one-size-fits-all solution. Each connection needs its own approach. She reached into her toolkit and pulled out a manual diagnostic wand. Sometimes you need to get your hands dirty. Catil watched as Sarah worked, her movements less precise than the drone's but more intuitive. She treated each connection differently, adjusting her technique based on the specific technology involved. Your method appears chaotic, Catil observed. But effective, Sarah replied, not looking up from her work. Each of these systems has its own quirks. You have to work with them, not force them to conform to a single standard. As she worked, Catil's drones hovered nearby, their sensors recording her methods. The Meridian's crystalline surface displayed complex patterns Sarah hadn't seen before. "You're teaching them," Catil said suddenly. Sarah paused. "What?" "The drones. They are learning from your actions, adapting their protocols." This was unexpected. Isn't that a good thing? They're becoming more flexible. Catil was silent for a moment, its form shifting through various light patterns. Among meridians, such adaptation is often viewed as concerning. We value consistency, predictability. Sarah straightened up, wiping her hands on her coveralls. "But you're here, working with a human, letting your drones learn new methods. Seems pretty adaptable to me." Perhaps. Catil's harmonics carried a new tone, something almost uncertain. "My assignment to this station was not entirely voluntary. My superiors believed I showed concerning signs of procedural flexibility. They thought exposure to less advanced technologies would reinforce the superiority of Meridian methods." Sarah couldn't help but laugh. "And instead, you're finding out we might actually know what we're doing. Your methods are still primitive," Catil stated, but its harmonics carried that now familiar hint of humor. "But they are effective in their own way. The combination of Meridian precision and human adaptability presents interesting possibilities." They spent the rest of their shift exploring those possibilities. Sarah showed Catil how human engineers had learned to work with various alien technologies, while Catil's drones demonstrated Meridian maintenance techniques that could be modified for human systems. As their shift ended, Sarah noticed the drones moving differently, their patterns less rigid, more responsive to their environment. And Catil. The Meridian's crystalline form seemed somehow more vibrant, its patterns more complex. "Same time tomorrow?" Sarah asked, packing up her toolkit. Catil's response came with a new harmonic, one that seemed to bridge the gap between Meridian precision and human warmth. "I believe that would be optimal. There is much more to learn." As Sarah headed home, she realized that she wasn't just teaching Catil about human engineering. They were creating something new together, a hybrid approach that took the best of both species. And maybe, just maybe, that was exactly what the station needed. The emergency alarms jolted Sarah awake 2 hours before her shift. Red warning lights pulsed through her quarters as the station's AI made an announcement that sent chills down her spine. "Critical failure detected in primary fusion core. Containment systems compromised. All personnel report to emergency stations." She was halfway to engineering when her comlink chimed. Catil's crystalline harmonics came through clearly. "Sarah Chen, your presence is required in core control immediately." "Already on my way," she replied, running faster. "How bad is it?" "The situation exceeds standard parameters by 47.3%. Multiple systems are failing in patterns that—" Catil paused, and Sarah heard something she never expected from a Meridian. Uncertainty. "The patterns are chaotic. Our prediction models are failing." Sarah burst into core control to find organized chaos. Human engineers worked alongside Meridian technicians, their usual cultural differences forgotten in the face of crisis. Tel stood at the main control interface, its crystalline form pulsing with rapid, complex patterns. The containment field is destabilizing, Till reported as Sarah joined them. Meridian containment protocols are not compatible with the core's emergency systems. We cannot establish proper control. Sarah studied the readouts, her mind racing. The station's fusion core was a hybrid system, human-designed but modified with technology from multiple species over the years. The Meridians' attempts to impose their precise control protocols were fighting against the core's built-in flexibility. "We need to stop fighting the system," Sarah said, her hands flying over the controls. "Look, the core was designed to be adaptable. Every time your protocols try to force stability, it creates new instabilities elsewhere. But without precise control, the reaction cold. Sometimes you have to bend so you don't break," Sarah interrupted. "Till, remember what we learned about working with hybrid systems. We need to do that now, just on a bigger scale." Catil's form shifted, creating patterns Sarah recognized as deep thought. "You suggest we work with the chaos rather than against it." "Exactly. Your precision, my adaptability. Together." For a moment, Catil was silent. Then its appendages moved to the controls. "Direct me." They worked in perfect synchronization, Catil's precise manipulations guided by Sarah's intuitive understanding of the core's behavior. Where Meridian protocols sought to impose order, they instead created channels for the energy to flow naturally. Where human systems might have been too loose, Meridian precision provided crucial stability. "Warning," the station AI announced. "Containment failure in 5 minutes. It's not enough." Catil's harmonics carried frustration. "The energy patterns are too unpredictable." Sarah's eyes darted between readouts. "Your drones, the ones that learn to adapt. Could they help? They are not rated for core containment, but they've learned to work with hybrid systems. They understand both our methods now." Catil's surface rippled with rapid calculations. "The risk of drone loss is 89.4%. Better than losing the station." Another moment of hesitation. Then Catil's appendages flew across the controls. A dozen maintenance drones swept into the core chamber, their usual precise movements now carrying a hint of human unpredictability. "Warning, containment failure in 3 minutes." Sarah watched as the drones worked, their patterns shifting between Meridian precision and human adaptability. They weren't fighting the core's chaos. They were working with it, creating paths for the energy to stabilize naturally. "Core temperature dropping," someone called out. "Containment field stabilizing." "Interesting," Catil said softly. "The drones are not following standard protocols, yet their effectiveness has increased by 34.8%. Sarah smiled despite her exhaustion. Sometimes the best solutions aren't in any manual. As the crisis subsided, Sarah became aware of the control room's silence. Humans and Meridians alike were staring at them, or more specifically, at the readouts showing how they'd solved the problem. "This methodology," Catil announced, its harmonics carrying a new tone of discovery, represents a significant deviation from Meridian's standard procedures. A pause. "It also appears to be superior to those procedures in certain situations." "Superior?" Sarah grinned. "That's not very Meridian of you to admit. Recent events have adjusted my perspective on the value of procedural flexibility." Catil's form shifted to create patterns Sarah had never seen before, something that seemed to combine Meridian complexity with human warmth. "Perhaps there are advantages to chaos, when properly channeled." The station's chief engineer, who had been watching their interaction with growing interest, stepped forward. "Whatever you two did here, we need more of it. This station's getting more complex every day. We can't afford to keep treating different systems in isolation." Catil's appendages moved in what Sarah now recognized as agreement. "I will compose a report for Meridian High Command, recommending a review of our interaction protocols with human engineering systems." A pause, though perhaps with less emphasis on the chaotic elements. Sarah laughed. "Probably wise. Don't want them thinking you've gone completely native. As the crisis teams began their cleanup and repair work, Sarah noticed something else. The humans and Meridians weren't separating back into their usual groups. They were talking, comparing notes, asking questions about each other's methods. "We may have started something here," she said to Catil. Indeed, Catil's harmonics carried that new tone, the one that bridged their species' differences. "Though I suspect this is merely the beginning. There is much more to learn from each other." Sarah looked around the control room, at humans and Meridians working together with new understanding, at the drones that had learned to balance precision with adaptability, at her own unlikely friendship with a being she once thought too rigid to understand. "You know what, Catil? I think you're right about that." News of the fusion core incident spread through Arcturus Station like a quantum wave, transforming everything it touched. Sarah found herself becoming something of a minor celebrity among both humans and Meridians, though she noticed the latter trying very hard to appear only professionally interested. 2 weeks after the crisis, Sarah entered the station's main maintenance hub to find it radically transformed. Where humans and Meridians once worked in separate shifts, now mixed teams clustered around workstations. Meridian drones hovered alongside human technicians, their movements showing that same adaptation she and Kill had pioneered. "Your influence spreads like a viral protocol," Till observed, appearing beside her with a crystalline chime. "Though perhaps that analogy requires refinement." "Was that a joke?" Sarah grinned. "You're getting better at those. Humor is an efficient method of facilitating human comfort during interactions. I have been studying appropriate applications, and here I thought you were just warming up to me." Till's surface rippled with what Sarah now recognized as amusement. That would be highly unprofessional. A pause, though not entirely inaccurate. Their conversation was interrupted by approaching footsteps. Station Commander Rivera strode toward them, followed by a Meridian whose complex crystalline patterns marked it as a high-ranking official. "Chen, Kill," Rivera nodded. "This is Senior Coordinator Virol from Meridian Central Command. They're here about your unconventional methods." Sarah felt Catil's form stiffen beside her, its patterns becoming more rigid and formal. Virol's crystalline surface shifted in complex ways that Sarah couldn't read, but she sensed tension in the air. "Your recent actions have drawn significant attention." Virol's harmonics were precise, controlled. "The integration of human chaos theory with Meridian precision protocols represents a significant deviation from established procedures. With respect, Senior Coordinator," Catil began, but Virol's appendages moved in a gesture that silenced them. "I have reviewed the data from the fusion core incident. Your methods were unorthodox, inefficient, and violated 17 separate Meridian operational protocols." Virol paused, their crystalline surface shifting. "They were also remarkably effective." Sarah blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "Meridian Central Command has authorized a pilot program," Commander Rivera explained, looking pleased. "They want to explore the potential benefits of combining human and Meridian maintenance methodologies. You two are being asked to lead it." Catil's form displayed patterns Sarah had never seen before. Surprise, excitement, and something else she couldn't quite identify. "This is unexpected." "Unexpected but logical," Virol stated. "As stations like Arcturus become more complex, traditional approaches prove insufficient. Evolution becomes necessary for optimal functionality." Sarah couldn't help but smile. That might be the most Meridian way possible of saying, "If it works, don't fix it." Virol's surface rippled in what might have been amusement, or possibly indigestion. Sarah still wasn't great at reading Meridian emotions. "Your human tendency toward informal communication remains problematic. However, results cannot be argued with." Over the next few hours, they discussed the details of the pilot program. Mixed teams would be formed, combining human intuition with Meridian precision. Till's adapted drones would serve as a template for a new generation of maintenance units. Most surprisingly, both human and Meridian personnel would be trained in each other's methodologies. There is one additional matter, Varel announced as the meeting concluded. Kill, your original assignment to this station was intended as a corrective measure for your unconventional tendencies. Sarah felt Kill tense beside her. Those same tendencies, Varel continued, have now proven valuable. Your ability to adapt while maintaining meridian principles is precisely what this program requires. You will be promoted to program coordinator, effective immediately. Catil's form blazed with sudden light, their patterns shifting rapidly. I accept this responsibility with appropriate gratitude. After the officials left, Sarah turned to Catil with a grin. Program coordinator, huh? Not bad for someone who was sent here as punishment. The situation has evolved in unexpected ways, Catil admitted. When I first encountered you attempting maintenance with primitive tools, I could not have predicted this outcome. Life's funny that way. Sometimes the best things come from the most unlikely situations. Catil's patterns shifted to that new configuration, the one that seemed to represent their unique friendship. Indeed, though I must admit I am concerned about managing this program. The integration of human and meridian methodologies presents numerous challenges. Hey, Sarah nudged them gently with her elbow, something that would have been unthinkable a few weeks ago. That's why we're doing it together. Your precision, my chaos. Remember? An effective combination, Catil agreed, though perhaps we should avoid using the term chaos in official reports. Sarah laughed. Probably wise. How about dynamic adaptation protocols instead? An acceptable alternative. Kill's form shifted again, creating patterns that somehow combine meridian complexity with human warmth. Sarah Chen, I find myself experiencing what humans might call gratitude. Our interaction has facilitated significant personal and professional growth. You know, Sarah smiled. You could just say thank you, Sarah. You're an awesome friend. That would be highly imprecise and emotionally excessive. Kill's harmonics carried that now familiar tone of humor, though not entirely inaccurate. As they walked through the maintenance hub, Sarah noticed how others watched them, humans and meridians alike, seeing not just two individuals, but a symbol of what was possible when different cultures truly learned from each other. So, she said, ready to revolutionize station maintenance. Catil's response came with harmonics that perfectly balanced meridian precision with human enthusiasm. I believe the correct human phrase is, let's get to work. 6 months after the launch of the integration program, Sarah stood in Arcturus Station's observation dome, watching a meridian transport ship dock. Its crystalline hull caught the light of the nearby star, creating rainbow patterns across the dome's surface that reminded her of Kill's expressions. The delegation arrives in precisely 3 minutes, Catil announced, joining her at the window. Your emotional state appears elevated. Nervous, Sarah admitted. It's not every day you present a revolutionary maintenance program to both Meridian High Command and Earth's United Station Authority. Catil's form shifted in what Sarah now recognized as reassurance. Our results exceed all projected expectations. The integration of human and meridian methodologies has improved station efficiency by 42.7%. Yeah, but numbers aren't everything. We're talking about changing centuries of established procedures. Some people aren't going to like that. Change is inevitable. Kill stated, their harmonics carrying new confidence. As you taught me, adaptation is necessary for survival. Sarah smiled, remembering their first encounter in the break room. You've come a long way from the Meridian who called human methods primitive, and you have developed a surprising appreciation for precise documentation protocols. Don't tell anyone. I have a reputation to maintain. Their banter was interrupted as the delegation entered the observation dome. Meridian High Command representatives, their crystalline forms elaborate and imposing, moved in perfect synchronization with Earth's station administrators. 6 months ago, such coordination between the species would have been unthinkable. Commander Rivera made the introductions, but Sarah barely heard them. She was too busy watching the interaction between humans and Meridians, noting how naturally they moved together now. Even the most traditional members of both species had adapted to working alongside each other. "Proceed with your presentation," the head of the Meridian delegation commanded. Sarah stepped forward, but Kittil's appendage touched her arm, a gesture that would have shocked both species not long ago. "Allow me to begin. My human colleagues' methods are more effective for addressing unexpected questions." As Kittil presented the technical data, Sarah watched the delegates' reactions. The Meridian's surface patterns shifted rapidly as they processed the efficiency improvements. The human administrators leaned forward, particularly interested in how Meridian precision had reduced workplace accidents by 60%. Then it was Sarah's turn. "The numbers are impressive," she began, "but they don't tell the whole story. What we've created here isn't just a maintenance program. It's a new way of thinking. We've proven that our differences aren't obstacles to overcome. They're advantages to be combined." She gestured to the maintenance hub visible through the dome's windows, where human technicians worked seamlessly alongside Meridian drones. "Every day, we find new ways to complement each other's strengths. Human intuition helps Meridian systems adapt to unexpected situations. Meridian precision makes human innovations more reliable and efficient. Most importantly," Till added, their harmonics carrying unusual emotion, "we have discovered that cooperation produces results superior to what either species could achieve alone." The delegation members exchanged looks. The head of Earth's Station Authority spoke first. "You're proposing to expand this program to other stations?" "We are," Sarah confirmed. "We've already developed training protocols that combine human and Meridian teaching methods. Teams learn to think in new ways, to see problems from multiple perspectives. The potential applications extend beyond maintenance." Till continued. "Our methodology could be adapted for engineering, research, even cultural exchange programs." The discussion continued for hours, but Sarah could sense the shift in the room. When the delegation finally departed to deliberate, Commander Rivera turned to them with a rare smile. "They're going to approve it," she said. "You two have started something bigger than you realize." Later, in their now shared office, Sarah and Kittil reviewed the day's events. The space reflected their partnership: Meridian precision tools alongside human mechanical equipment, crystalline displays next to worn technical manuals. "I received a message from my former supervisors," Kittil announced suddenly. "They wish to understand how my concerning tendencies toward procedural flexibility became valuable assets." Sarah laughed. "Tell them it's because you met a human who taught you the value of chaos. I informed them that I had encountered an individual who demonstrated the unexpected benefits of controlled entropy within established systems. That might be the most romantic thing a Meridian has ever said about a human." Till's form rippled with amusement. "You continue to apply inappropriate emotional contexts to technical observations. And you continue to pretend you don't enjoy it." Sarah stood, stretching. "Come on, let's get dinner. I heard the station's trying to combine human and Meridian cuisine." "A concerning development," Till observed, but their harmonics carried anticipation, though perhaps worth investigating. As they walked through the station corridors, Sarah reflected on how much had changed. Humans and Meridians nodded to each other in passing, exchanged jokes, shared meals. The rigid barriers between their species had softened, allowing something new to grow in the space between. "You know what I think?" Sarah said as they entered the station's newly integrated dining hall. "I think we've done more than create a maintenance program. We've shown that different doesn't mean incompatible, that precision and chaos, structure and flexibility, they can work together, make something better than either could be alone." Kittil's form shifted into that special pattern that seemed reserved just for their friendship. A typically human observation, emotional, imprecise, and, their harmonics softened, entirely accurate. Around them, Arcturus Station hummed with the combined efforts of human and Meridian technology, a testament to what could be achieved when different worlds came together. And in that moment, Sarah knew that this was just the beginning. There were more barriers to break, more bridges to build, more possibilities to explore. "Ready for whatever comes next?" she asked. Hill's response came with harmonics that perfectly balanced Meridian's certainty with human hope. "Together, we are prepared for anything." Last edited 7 minutes ago.